Okay, today my guest is Sam Sawyer with Pinnacle Realty Advisors in Austin, Texas. Actually, Pinnacle is all over Texas. Sam is an Austin guy, but let me tell you more about Sam. Sam Sawyer has been licensed to sell real estate since he was, and this is incredible, 19 years old. At 19 years old, I was not that mature, not that forward thinking. So I'm always impressed when I talk to agents who started that early and knew that that's what they wanted to do. But Sam began his career while attending Southern Methodist University, SMU, in Dallas, where he helped friends find apartments and condos. Very smart idea for a college student. Following graduation, Sam worked his way up to senior vice president at Briggs Freeman Sotheby's International Realty. So Sam later left Sotheby's to help launch a brokerage called The Collective with two other industry leading agents, which was eventually acquired by Compass. Prior to launching Pinnacle Realty Advisors, Sam worked for the Y Combinator graduate and venture-backed startup Zero Down in Silicon Valley as their VP of real estate operations. Sam now lives in Austin and looks forward to expanding the Pinnacle Realty Advisors brand nationwide, and we are excited to see him do that. Sam, we are so excited. Oh, before I bring you on, let's say how people can find you. So, a couple of ways that you can learn more about Pinnacle Realty Advisors. First, visit their website, which is pinnaclera.com, pinnaclera.com. And also follow Sam on Twitter. You can find him at Sam H. Sawyer on Twitter. By the way, we will have links to both Sam's website and his social accounts in the show notes. So you don't have to write that down. Just scroll down to the show notes and visit Sam and check out what he and Pinnacle are all about. Sam, welcome to the show.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thank you that was a nice intro. Thanks a lot. This is
Well,
fun.
I'm grateful to have you on the show. You've been in real estate for a long time, and let's start at the very beginning because you have done a lot in real estate. A lot of times when I interview people, it's like, well, I've been a broker for the last, or an agent, whatever it's called in the state that people are listening to, for 30 years, and I basically done the same thing for 30 years. You have
Yeah.
not, so I am super excited. But how did you get involved in real estate?
Yeah, well, I don't really know. I'm still doing it, but I guess I kind of started um kind of on accident. I played lacrosse in college.
Wow.
And so in the summer I would stay and do summer school. And I was just really bored one summer and got my real estate license. And then kind of started out. So that was in between like freshman and sophomore year in the summer. Um, and then kind of started out helping friends on the lacrosse team find apartments, and then, started helping other people on campus find places to live. And then when I graduated in 2009, it was kind of the worst time ever to look for a job because
Yeah, especially in real estate.
yeah. And so I actually never intended on remaining an agent or doing what I've done, but it was kind of like timing, pushed me a certain way. And so I started working at Southern. Basically, Briggs Freeman was a company in Dallas that had been around. They've been around for a long time, but they joined the Sotheby's network kind of in right around the time that I joined. So I worked at Sotheby's in Dallas for a number of years, and then myself and Jonathan Rosen and Christy Berry, who are two other agents there, we left and started a boutique, pretty traditional boutique, high-end, like luxury firm in Dallas that we built up to a number of agents, 30 agents or so. And that was in 2018 when Compass was expanding across the country. And so they acquired our firm, um, and we launched Compass in Texas. So our entire brokerage firm joined Compass. We became Compass in Texas. We launched Compass in Texas. And I stayed there for like a year and a half after the acquisition. And then through a mutual friend, knew someone in San Francisco that was starting kind of a new age mortgage company, lending company, the Zero Down company. So I left and went to Silicon Valley, worked there for a number of years, and kind of while I was there, I had an idea to build kind of a new age brokerage platform. And so left Zero Down in summer of 2020 and moved back to Texas, down to Austin, and we started Pinnacle then. Um,
Tell us more about Pinnacle because it's really trying to do something a little different. And
Yeah.
I always love disruptors. You've been in sort of the tech
Mhm.
space, the real estate space. You are attracted to starting
Mhm.
things and working with people that are trying to change the industry a bit. So tell us more about Pinnacle.
Yeah, so Pinnacle, the way we call it brokerage as a service, so it's kind of a play on software as a service. So it's a subscription-based brokerage platform that's fully virtual, everything's online. Um, Lower fee. I don't like to lead with lower fee because a lot of people associate lower fee with really bad service. So we're really trying to build a platform where the agents can pick the brokerage plan they want. We have a number of different plans, that appeal to a newer agent all the way up to we have a product that's a white label option that's really similar to what Side's doing, for a top producing team that wants to launch their own brand. So basically, we're taking the brokerage sponsorship side as one part of the company, and then we have like an a la carte service side of the business. So the thing that drove me crazy about being an agent at traditional firms is, they promised that they provided all these things for you, but you weren't really sure what they provided, and they took, I mean, I was a top higher producing agent, so I had a really good split, but I still didn't see the value. And, most agents are on like a 70-30 or 80-20 split.
Yeah.
The companies provide all these tools that you can go get for $20 a month on your
Right.
own.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so really, it's really I built something I wish that I had always wanted. A lot of people trying to disrupt this space are not real estate agents and they don't really understand what agents want. And so I'm just honest in building something I wish that I had and trying to build something that's lower cost but really good service. And um, I don't know. It's really that simple. I mean, no, there's a lot of people doing cloud-based things. There's lots of people doing interesting things on the branding side, but we're trying to just build a platform that appeals to a lower end age, not lower end, but an agent in the middle of nowhere in Texas just as much as like an agent in Miami, Florida. And so no one's really built a platform that spans, the whole breadth of the industry. And the way that we're able to do that is it's a subscription business model. So we don't rely on getting top producers. Like, we'll take a 5 transaction a year agent as long as, they're a good agent. And that's good with us. So we're really just trying to be a platform that serves everyone, let people pick how they want to run their business. If they need add-on services, we're happy to provide them. If they want to go use their own tools, then we're fine with that too. So it's really like brokerage as a service, use what you want, scale up and down as you need us. And that's really how we think about it. So
Well, Sam, you are a man after my own heart because I work at a brokerage that has almost a similar model here in Chicago. Little bit different, but
uh,
same idea. So just to give some additional clarity on like how Sam's model works and how
mhm,
it's different from a firm like ours is we have like a monthly fee that people pay. It's a small fee,
mhm,
and then every time they do a transaction, they get 100% minus a small transaction fee, flat
right,
fee kind of thing. 350
right.
bucks is what we charge. What Sam does is actually, I even like it maybe a little better than the way we do it, is because Sam has like a subscription where you don't pay those per transaction fees. And maybe
Mhm,
there are ways where you could do that, but he has basically just a larger monthly fee. And he's like, that's, we're just going to hit you once
right.
per month. And it's really totally reasonable. And if you are doing even more than one transaction a year, even just one transaction a year, it's
Mhm,
still a good deal. But anything more than one, it's like a total no brainer. And
right.
Sam, I've been here since 2011 here at our company. My whole life is dedicated to a system very similar to what you've created in Austin and Dallas
Right.
and other parts of Texas. So I am right with you. I love this model. I think it's brilliant.
Right.
We've grown to about 800 agents in the last 11 years, and
Right.
it was really helpful. We see no signs of that model slowing down. Well, I think
Mhm,
it'll only become more and more popular as agents start to think about, are the tools I receive from, firms that are taking 20-30% of my commission, am I getting that value? And it's not that the firms, I always find in my experience that I people don't usually complain about the service or the support they're getting at their previous firm. But it does tend to be more of a value proposition. It's more like, hey, I like the guys at my firm. They're awesome. They're really helpful.
Right.
They're really, but are they worth 20 or 30% of every commission when I'm doing 99% of the job? And so a company like yours is so wonderful for an agent that's like, I use, and you provide tools too. It's not like you
Mhm.
don't have tools. You guys do, but you know as well as I do, a lot of agents, they, like you said, they have their own tools. There's a million options. There's so many tech players in the space. They want to choose what they want to use. And it's still going to save them thousands of dollars on every transaction if they just, choose a couple tools of their own if they don't want to use your inherent tools, which I'm sure are great too.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, we provide a lot of tools that people are used to using. We're not trying to build a lot of like tools from scratch. Like honestly, Compass tried to reinvent the wheel and rebuild like super simple tools. And
Mm.
that's where like $1 billion went that they raised. And
Right.
yeah, and it's like, I mean, I thought Compass at the time was like the coolest thing in the industry. We sold our business to them and we're super excited about it. But we're just kind of thinking about it a different way where like we're letting people brand themselves. We're letting people, if they have their own website, like that's fine. There's a lot of things in the industry where brokerages try to force agents to do things a certain way that for no other reason than trying to keep their brand cohesive and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, but we're almost 700 agents now in like a year and a
Um,
half.
okay. Well, you're
So,
crushing my now you're making me feel like a bad recruiter. So the interview is over. Do not visit Sam Sawyer's no, I'm teasing. I need to learn what you're doing and do the same
yeah,
thing because you're obviously doing it really,
no, it's
really,
fun.
really
Yeah,
well.
but yeah,
I'm
we're in
so impressed.
Texas, Louisiana. We're in a few states now: Texas, Louisiana. We just launched Florida, and then we launched Arkansas, and then we're going to launch North Carolina soon,
Wow.
and then California.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, it's fun. But no, I mean, I love like your model, the company that you're at. Yeah, these models are just better for agents. So that's kind of the high level thing with me is just making
It's
it better
it's
for
it's
agents.
it's so satisfying when you talk to an agent where this is like a perfect fit for them because even now, and we've been doing it for like 10 or 11 years,
Mhm.
even now people are still like, really? Like it used to be, and thankfully the tide has turned, but it used to be suspicious. Really? Like you
Mhm.
really can do all this? Where's the hidden fees? And we're like, no, it's really just what it is. And once people started getting more used to these models, because obviously you're not the only person, brokerage in Texas that has this
Right.
model, it's becoming more popular, but it's still, I don't know, at least here in Chicago, it's maybe 5% of the agents are at firms like ours. So it's not that common, but it's now, I don't get the like, what's the catch? I
Mhm.
don't get that as much. Now I just get, oh, that's cool. But in the past, it was like, this sounds a little fishy. And it's like, oh no, it's what's brilliant about the fact that people respond that way to me is that the branding is so strong at the other firms that they don't look suspicious. Sometimes the 100% firms look suspicious. And it's like, actually, I would
Right.
kind of think of it the other way personally.
For sure.
Yeah,
No, I agree. Yeah, you have to be careful with hyping only the cost savings because a
of
lot of people
course. Because that's what people
associate.
start to think. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like in the beginning, we learned that the hard way because like
we did too.
yeah. And then you attract some people that aren't a good fit. And then, yeah, I don't know. But like when you approach it as like a service first, lower cost, build your own business, yeah, I mean, it attracts great agents. We get agents from, some of the best firms around. And then once
That
they're here, then they start telling,
then they get it. They're like, oh,
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
because the reality of it is curious at your thoughts on this. What when we first started, we only were going after agents to transfer from other firms in, not
Mhm.
brand new agents, because at that time we didn't have training and support in
Exactly.
any real way, and we just wouldn't have felt right about bringing on a new agent. And so we only brought over existing agents who really didn't need a lot of help, just in
Right.
case. What we learned very quickly was when any agent needs help, we can't say, well, we're kind of this 100% model. We can't really help you. Like that does not fly. So what we learned is we have to provide, in some cases, even better support than we would maybe anticipate because we
Mhm.
don't want people to ever feel, oh, well, they're not really going to help me.
Right. No, no, I agree. I mean, we really just started taking brand new agents like recently.
Yeah,
Kind
us
of the
too.
same idea. It was like the mid to higher end agents don't need as much hand holding in the beginning, but like newer agents to me is a great way to grow. But like to me, we think about that like we want to build like a real like mentor slash new age training program, not like I don't know. Some of these training programs at the legacy brokerages are like worse than like sitting in third grade in 1995. Um, and so we're trying to
I'm
rethink.
never too busy for your referrals.
Yeah, like the donuts in the office and like somebody you don't want to talk to. Yeah, but like we're trying to rethink like partnering up newer agents with older agents, and really like I mean we're a
Smart.
cloud based company, but trying to connect people in real life. Like we're not like a faceless. Like we get that sometimes too. It's like, oh, how is there a community? It's like we do in-person events with our agents. We have a Slack channel with all the agents. Like, I honestly think our agents talk to each other more than agents at a traditional firm, but it's just
Totally.
different ways than acting like the office is this place where that happened. Because even before COVID, the only real estate agents that sit in the office are the ones that don't sell anything. Um,
It's a good
so,
point.
I don't know. Like, it's just funny. Like, Compass in Dallas had this fancy office. It was awesome to go there, but, people are only there on, like, Monday from 12 to 4 because there's an office meeting, and then no one's there. And it probably cost, a couple $100,000 in rent or whatever. So it's like, I don't know. You can spend the money in way better ways than paying rent or, like I mean, I'm sitting in this, little crappy office in Austin all by myself. Like, we don't spend a lot on our staff and
Uh,
things like that.
we're
So
yeah, for us, we spend the majority of our stuff on staff, but our offices are not fancy. There's like
well,
they just are. And you know what? Almost we even were able to leave ours open 24/7 just because we own the building and whatever.
yeah,
But the reality is no one uses it. Even we have almost 800 agents. Nobody uses it. So
exactly.
yeah, so it's like, when for agents where having a fancy office is important, and there are agents where of course that's important to them and that works for their business model, but that's a very few small percentage of agents. So the vast majority I think are coming around because they're going, wait, I really work out of my home mostly anyway, out of my car. It's nice that there is an office in case they do want to come in and do some work. I think it's maybe good just for that feeling of maybe if there is something local that they can use it even though they never are going to use it. So it's kind of fun. I've been watching this model evolve over the years and watching it kind of hit the public, meaning the other agents in the area. Finally, there was, initially there was suspicion, and now it's like, oh, and we're seeing evidenced by growth like yours. Like to get, almost that many agents in a year and a half is insane. As
Mhm.
somebody who does this 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, like that's insane. So I am I need to learn from the master like yourself.
No,
But
no, yeah, that's funny.
I'm curious on and by the way, I didn't mention this and I forgot to in your intro, and this is equally as impressive as anything else in your resume. You were a NAR 30 under 30 guy,
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah,
that is a very, very big deal. And only the very best agents I know have ever been on that list. We
yeah.
usually here in Chicago, it's never been anyone from our firm, but it's usually one or two people in the whole state of Illinois make it.
Mhm.
And so I know what a big deal that is. Probably same
Yeah, that was
in,
fun.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a
that's a
good
big
group, and
deal.
everyone stays in touch afterwards, and,
Yeah.
yeah, some people when they read that, they think that am still under 30, like, I just got it, like, last year, and I'm like, "No, I'm not, like, 28 now, 36 now," so that was a few years ago, but,
Still amazing.
yeah, that's funny.
It's a badge of honor you get to wear for the rest of your life, and
Yeah,
very it's very rarefied air. And believe me, NAR, who's actually headquartered here in Chicago, and
yeah.
I get to go there quite a bit. They take that thing very, very
Oh,
seriously.
yeah.
So
The
it's a
verification
big
on
deal.
that was, like, harder than getting your passport or something, like, it was yeah, you had to get a lot of references. I mean, it was fun, but, yeah, everyone should, you learn something even applying for it. If you're under 30 and an agent listening to this, it's like, it's not just all about sales. It's a lot
Right.
of things go into it, so
Yeah.
I've met
Has to
some super cool people through that, and it's a great group, so that's awesome.
So let's talk about 2023. So we're, I don't know, a quarter of the way through the year or a third of the way through the year now. And, things, I think it's the spring market and in a many local areas that's going to increase activity, but we still have rates that are not what realtors would like them to be for lending. Although they are what they are, and that's preventing some people from wanting to buy. We have still lower inventory in many major markets. So you're seeing, I imagine, I mean, Austin is is always fun and exciting. I don't know the real estate market there, but I assume it's probably booming like it always has been. But what are you telling, because you have agents in different states, what are
Mhm.
you telling agents to focus on this year, especially for those that maybe the phone's not ringing as much as it was during 3% interest rate days?
Yeah,
So what are you telling agents to do?
yeah, I mean, with the way that I mean, I kinda started out in a market that was way worse than this one, like, in 2010, um, it was, like, impossible to get things done, and people were way more afraid, and, like, things weren't happening, and I think right now there's kinda, like, this shock in the system because rates moved so fast, and everyone kind of freaked out, and prices a lot of things were happening, but coming out of COVID, prices are up, mortgage rates were low. But to me, like with our agents, or just when people ask me, it's like there's always people moving, and like there's always like it's not like people stop moving or stop selling houses, even if there's less transactions. So you may have to like work a little bit harder or try different things. But I mean, one thing I would always do is just go back to people that you had helped, rent a house or buy a house, and literally just call them and ask them like, "Hey, do you know anyone moving?" Or like, "Can I help you like figure out how much your house is worth?" Like something I used to always do is like
It's,
call
it's a
friends
great
and go,
one.
"Hey, yeah, do you want to know like what homes have sold recently?" And not just send like some stupid email, like actually like call them or text.
Yeah.
You don't have to
Or meet them
call.
in person and take them
Yeah,
to
yeah.
coffee or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, you don't have to call like, honestly, a lot of my clients were busy and they preferred texting. Like, like, some that's fine. I don't think that's impersonal. I think sometimes people think they have to call. I think you just do whatever makes sense, but, um, just asking people for, business, and, like, a lot of younger agents are afraid to do that, but I used to, like, send, like, 15 written notes a week. Like, I would literally
Awesome.
every
The,
Monday
the,
have
the
a
Brian Buffini method, the tried
yeah,
and
and I
true
didn't even
personal
know that,
notes.
here's a note like, I still do this. And,
Yeah.
yeah, and, like, on Monday, I would put 15 out, and then by I wasn't always like I would get it done. I'm not acting like I
Sure.
always did it, but would try to just write, like, even, like, "Hey, Sam, like, good seeing you today at the coffee shop." Like, it didn't have to be anything, like, in depth. It's more just, like, sending somebody something in the mail. And, like, I bet 80% of my business came from referrals,
Yeah.
and I didn't do a lot of advertising and things, so I think if you just I don't know, it's really just asking people if you can help them. And the market, there's nothing you can do about it except, like, figure out a way to make stuff happen. So I get pretty, like I don't feel sorry for agents that complain about the market because there's nothing they can do about it.
Right. Right.
So you can always find a way to sell a house, and, like, those still will be, like, 4.5 million transactions this year, they're saying, which is off, from, like, 6 million. But I don't know. Real estate residential real estate's the only job in the world where every single person you walk by every day needs somewhere to live. Like, there's no other
Yeah.
business on the planet like this, so
Yeah, funeral directors, people who cut hair,
yeah,
and real estate agents, they
exactly.
all are going to stay in business if they keep working. Your idea is such a good one about if anyone out there, if any of our listeners or viewers are maybe again the phone's not ringing as much, maybe you're in between sales and you don't really have anything to work on. If it was me, and I'm just taking what Sam said, and he can tell me if this is a terrible idea if I misunderstood him, but what I would do is what Sam suggested is I would call everybody I know who owns a home, whether they were my client or just a friend, and especially if they're a friend, because what you can say is, look, I know you have an agent, but I want to I'm working on honing my skills for CMAs, for competitive market analysis, and I would just love, because it helps me keep my skills sharp, I'd love to send you an update on what I think your home is currently worth, because I went on Zillow and I saw what they put for your home, and I actually
Mhm,
think that might not be totally accurate. So what I'd like to do is give you my own 2 cents on it. Can I just shoot that over to you, or maybe I can drop it by or whatever, and make that just a practice of doing once a month or once a month, once a year for
mhm,
everybody you know. And again, you're adding value, because I mean, doesn't everybody want to know what their home's worth? Like, but they might not think to look it up themselves because they're not thinking of moving. And if all of a
Right.
sudden they see that the value is different from what they expected in a positive way, they might go, hey, you know what? Maybe it is a good time to consider getting out.
Right.
So or and then if they were like, hey, that thank you for this, we're happy, we're not going anywhere, then I would say to that person, like, hey, great, if this was helpful to you, one way that you could help me out is just anyone else you know who owns a home, who's maybe, thinking about, their home value, like, I would love to run a CMA for them. There's no cost, I'm not going to pressure them to use me, I just want to sort of keep honing these skills. So boy, I mean, you could stay busy every day of the week just doing those.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the truth, and yeah, a lot of people, weirdly, when I would ask them, like, "Hey, do you know anyone moving?" They would be like, "Oh, yeah, like, I didn't know that you wanted more clients."
Right.
Like, real estate agents think that that's, like, crazy, but normal normal. I'm not saying real estate agents aren't normal, sorry. Like, customers and clients sometimes don't send referrals because they really think they're, like, bothering their agent because they assume some agents are, like, so busy. But, like, you have to just do it in a nice way, like, "Hey, there's a cool house on your street for sale, like, thought you may wanna see this, it's listed for 1.3 million," and that's it. You don't have to, like, have any
Yeah.
intention, but then they just kinda remember you, and they're like, "Oh, Sam knows houses in this neighborhood," or, you
Yeah.
know, I don't know. That's something that I think a lot of new agents today just don't do, and they think they can go buy Zillow ads and build their business, and I think that that's a horrible way to go about it.
Like, you can do it, but what you have to realize about Zillow leads, and we probably could agree that those are some of the more high quality internet leads that exist, because of
For
course
sure.
Zillow's whole business model is basically today built on making sure agents are happy buying their leads. However, even in the best possible, and Zillow used to be a sponsor of ours, so I'm a fan of Zillow. However, and I know because I know their sales reps. If you can get above a 5% closing ratio on internet leads, especially Zillow leads are good, but
For sure.
5% is about what you'll get if you do a good job with those leads. So that means you have to talk to 20 people before closing one, and you don't know when those leads are coming in, and you have to be
Right.
first on it. It's not that it can work. It's super expensive, and it is just got a low hit rate. So you
Right.
can do it if you want to spend thousands of dollars a month and you want that to be your life, or you can call everybody you know and be like, hey, let me run this cool thing for you that'll actually help you. And
Right.
then they're going to tell. And again, I was just at a top producer breakfast a couple weeks ago, and one of they asked the top producer who's been doing it 20 years. They said, "Do you ever ask for business?" And he goes, "I never did until this year." He's
Mhm.
like, "This year the phone stopped ringing," and he goes, "You know what? I saw other people asking for it, and I said, my clients like me, like I can ask them for that, and they
Right.
don't. If they don't have anyone, they don't have anyone." But he's like, "I work really hard for people," so he just started asking, like, "Hey,
Right.
do you know anyone?" And he goes, it was hard for him because he felt like maybe that felt like too intricate, but it's like when it's a friend, when it's somebody who's become a friend, like, you want to help your friends. So he goes,
Right.
dumbest thing I did was not ask for the last 19 years.
Yeah, and you have to ask the right way. Some people are annoying about it, and there's like a yeah, like you can definitely be bad at asking. Like that you can it's not just like ask in a weird way and bother people, or people will like start avoiding you at the grocery store and stuff probably. Um, but yeah, I mean it's really like simple, like cool ways to ask. Or if I were a super brand new agent starting over, I definitely would have like joined a team in the beginning. That's something else I always tell people. It's like
Absolutely.
I started out completely on my own. I screwed up so many contracts and would get agents calling me and being like, "How did you even fill this out?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Can you help me like fix it? Because I don't know. I just filled it in."
Right.
And I think if you start on a team, even if you're not making as much money for the first year or two, like you will jump ahead of people by like years. If you're working with a good agent. Um, I mean, I'm like, this is not what I did, but I wish that I did, and I think that you could have, gone even faster. So,
Yeah, it's a great way to, find open house opportunities in case, like, your brokerage isn't as friendly to other agents in the firm, saying, hey, can I do an open house for you? And if they're like, well, you're not on my team, I don't really know you, or no, I just want to do my own thing. When you're on a team, those opportunities tend to be more
Sure,
available. Possibly leads at some point, if there's a rainmaker on the team who's just distributing leads. But at the very least, even if those two things don't happen, is you're just going to be hanging out with people who know what they're doing,
for
and
sure,
you will absorb that. And yeah, you'll take a bit of a pay cut to do it possibly, but gosh, you were saying you should have done that when you started.
for
I
sure.
told, and again, you have a wonderful career, and it all
Mm.
worked out great for you, but might have been an easier path, right?
Oh,
So,
for sure,
totally agree with you there, and I give that suggestion as well to
yeah.
any new agent. And we don't have a lot of teams here, so a lot of times I'm, as much as I would love to have the person day one after
Mhm,
they get their license, a lot of times I'm like, look, we'd love to have you. We don't really have, a lot of teams. So we don't have a
mhm,
lot of those opportunities. We'll train you and we'll do a good job. But if you really want to get experience, like, yeah, maybe go find one of these big successful teams. And
mhm.
then you can always join us later too.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. No, for sure. That's smart.
well, I'm such a fan. I'm so glad that we're talking, because again, I just want to spread the 100% love out there. Not that we don't like traditional brokerage models too.
Mhm,
There's room for everybody. There just is, and there's some really, like, there's. I love all the big franchise firms. I think
mhm,
they're expensive, but I do think they provide amazing quality support. They do. There is a place for them. Obviously, in the industry, they're still
mhm,
reign supreme, but it is starting to shift a little bit. And we're seeing some of these brokerages with a little bit of a different business model coming in, like you, and
mhm,
just kind of just taking over. And it is so exciting to watch. And
mhm,
I can't imagine, the franchise or the large sort of national, international firms, the big brokerages. I'm curious on how viable they think their model will continue to be into the future. I mean, maybe it will. I don't know. I think
mhm,
it's gonna start, like, when top producers start moving to, and they haven't really done that much here in Chicago, but I know in other markets that
mhm.
that has happened, and it's like the floodgates just open, because then
Yeah,
everyone goes, I want to go where that guy's going.
right. No, I mean, we've seen that in a lot of our markets where you get a few of the
Amazing.
bigger agents. Yeah, I mean, I am not like a I don't have like any enemies with brokerage firms, but like enemies with business models. And I just really don't think the like traditional commission split thing will be around in 10 years. And people think I'm crazy for saying that, but um, it's like the innovator's dilemma. Like, I don't know if Clayton Christensen's like this famous professor, but it's like, this philosophy called innovator's dilemma, where like big companies are too afraid to take risks because they don't want to cannibalize their current business model. So they don't do anything. And then it's too late, but they know that like things are changing. I mean, no one ever thought Blockbuster Video would go out of business, and they could have launched something that looked just like Netflix. And this business is no different to me, just because the the numbers don't make sense. Like a decade ago, a big brokerage firm business model made sense because you had to be at the big firm to get your listings in the newspaper. Literally, like they owned the newspaper listing. So like if you weren't
Sure.
at Sotheby's, no one would work with you. Now
Yeah.
it's like the cost of tech and all these things is cheaper. Splits are getting to a point where these big brokerages, their margins are nothing.
Well,
Agents want more. Yeah, it just doesn't
yeah, no,
work
we're starting to see this with Compass, and I hope we have so many Compass listeners. I love Compass. I actually think they're such a cool company from
for
the way
sure.
they branded themselves, but you're seeing articles, and I'm not here to spread any fear, because I don't know anything that anyone else knows.
Mhm,
But anyone else doesn't know. I don't have any special information. But there's lots of articles right now being like, how does Compass actually continue to, or how do they become profitable? They haven't
mhm,
yet become profitable. They invested a lot into their technology. Like you were saying,
mhm,
they built their systems from the ground up, which was kind of their whole spiel, which is like, we're
mhm.
going to be this really high end luxury brand, and we have the best systems, which
Right.
maybe they do, maybe they don't. But regardless, that they were also very aggressive in acquiring agents, and they were giving very generous
Mhm,
concessions to do that. And then once those concessions start to come due, and all of a sudden now they got to pay the bills and deal with the shareholders, it's real interesting. Like, they may have painted themselves a little bit kind of in a corner now,
Mhm.
trying to figure out the road to profitability. And Compass agents love it at Compass. So I
Oh,
think
yeah,
that's great. But it is from a financial model. I'm like, how does this work? Like, how do they ever find a path to profitability if it isn't through like ancillary stuff like mortgage,
for sure.
title? It's the only way I see them being profitable. Again, I'm a dummy, so who knows what I know.
Oh, no, 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 yeah, yeah, look, a lot of my best friends are at Compass. I love Compass, I love the
Yeah,
leadership there,
me
like,
too.
I'm not like a enemy of a brokerage at all. I always say that to
No,
people, like, I'm not trying to, like, single out other firms, but I'm like, business models, I do have enemies against business models, but that's just a different thing. But it's like the numbers just don't make sense as the industry gets more competitive, and then people ask me, "Well, how do y'all make money?" Because they're so used to companies having traditional infrastructure, and I'm like, "Look, we make money every month whether people sell something or not." So it's just a completely different model. It's like we don't take as much of your money, but our revenue is subscription based. We literally when you sign up with us, you literally put your credit card info on Stripe like you're signing up on Spotify.
yeah,
Like
we have the same sort of thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
so it's like a recurring revenue model. We're able to forecast things better. We have we have 20 employees or so, but no, like everyone's remote. Our biggest expense is payroll. Like we don't have
us
a lot
too.
of overhead.
Yeah.
And then the numbers look way, way better than a traditional firm if anyone like
Yeah.
really looks at it. It's more like a software business model applied to the brokerage industry. And then we have partnerships where we resell services. We're starting to do like there's a lot of ways you can add on services that agents want that you don't have to force them to use.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think a majority of our revenue over the next few years what could even come from the service side and not even from the brokerage side. So it's like, um, yeah,
Yeah, we're starting. We're just so everyone knows. And I don't have a reference for this stat, so I may be slightly off, but it's going to be close to accurate. And last time I saw this stat, again, I'm just pulling this out of my memory, which is not reliable. But somewhere, the average margin at a traditional brokerage is something like 7%. Like it's really really low, which
mhm,
means they're only making a tiny amount on their overall because there's so much cost of doing business.
mhm,
There's obviously the rent, there's payroll, there's your commissions, there's all the marketing they do to sort of stay in the public's eye and the brokers, the agent's eyes. But yeah, it is really interesting that there's now these additional firms like ours. So
mhm,
I could not be more of a champion of your model because
mhm,
your model, I love it. It's literally the same cost, just monthly. I
mhm,
love that. It's so easy, it's so simple, and the cool thing too for agents when they do decide to take a chance and try a new model like yours or here ours here in Chicago
mhm.
is I always tell them, because I never want somebody to come in because they feel persuaded, because I don't like to feel that way.
Right,
So
right, right.
I always say, here's the reality. Let's say everything I tell you is a lie, and we're really terrible, and we really don't help you, and we're not that great. If you come over and you find that out, there's like 500 other brokerages here in Chicago, and if you come in and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, DJ's a big liar, this sucks.
Right,
You're going to leave a moment later because there's a million other people calling you to join their firm, and you're
right,
going to hate my guts, and you're going to tell everybody that we suck. So
right.
the reality of it is, like, it's not in our best interest to not take care of you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we all kind of go, we want referrals too. We want our agents to tell every agent, oh my God, why are you at a XYZ firm instead of Kale? But we know that we have to earn that. And so I kind of like our model, for that reason, is we have to really earn it. Like, we can have the low price and the high commissions, but if we don't deliver on support, training, what the agent actually expects, and also setting clear expectations, here's what we do, here's what we don't do. But if we don't actually deliver on that, everyone's going to leave, and it as well as I do. So in some
Right.
ways, I almost think firms like ours maybe even have to work a little harder to keep
Mhm.
agents happy, because they might think, well, maybe I'm not going to get a whole lot, and then we have to go like, no,
Right.
no, you're going to get all this cool stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and then once they're there, they realize that it's
Yeah.
the same or better,
Yeah.
and they're making more money. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of industry shifts that are making these things easier, like the agent as the brand is what I call it, but like the agent name is way more important than like the brokerage name in a lot of markets. And it like, 10 years ago, it would be Sotheby's, or like you would say the brokerage name first, then like
Of
DJ at
course.
Sotheby's. Now it's
Yeah.
like, here's Sam's number. He works in these neighborhoods. Like people don't even really know where you work. Um,
Right.
so I don't
Well,
know. There's like a whole,
EX
I could talk about this for a long time. It's like
well,
it
no,
all
I
goes
I
back
love it.
like,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, it goes back like 30 years ago. Like big brokerages, when this industry started, the business models were the exact same then as they are now. Back then, it made sense because literally the newspaper, I've written a blog about this, I'll send you, but you had to be at the big firm to get in the newspaper. And that was literally how listings were distributed before
Yeah.
the internet.
Mhm.
And I'm not even joking right now. Like I remember my parents when I was little would like circle listings in the
Oh,
newspaper.
yeah. Me too. I
And if you
remember.
weren't at the big firm, no one knew your house was for sale. And so, like,
Right.
that is why the commission split model, like all these services back then,
Made
agents
sense.
had,
Yeah.
yeah. And now everyone's still doing the same model and we're like launching people to Mars. Like it just doesn't
Right.
make sense. Like the world has changed, but the brokerage business model blows my mind because it has not changed. It has not changed hardly at all in like 40 years.
Well, and then, EXP comes along, more prominently in the last,
Yeah.
let's say, five years, and they basically and again, I'm not here to be disparaging on EXP. I think EXP is fine. Obviously, they're
Right.
being crazy successful. They're one of the only firms, and all they did was slightly tweak the traditional model by basically saying no more offices, nobody cares, and we're going to, go more virtual. We're going to give you a slightly better commission split than what you're probably getting, and by the way, anyone, they kind of created this multi-level marketing thing where you can get your downline, where you can have agents from all over the country and you get paid a certain percentage on whatever their deals are. And that really, really worked for, I know agents, some agents like EXP, some don't. So whatever your feelings are about it, it has been crazy, crazy successful. And where EXP saves all their money is they don't really do any marketing to the consumer, to the home buyer or home seller. They're like, nobody cares. Only
Right.
people care about you, the agent. So we're going to put that money back into you and kind of give you an incentive to keep recruiting and whatever. But your clients don't care where you work. So why are we going to try to appease the client? We want to appease you, the agent. They were really the first model I saw that, and now there's been a few other firms that have followed suit. But it was pretty brilliant. It was just a minor tweak.
Right. No, I agree. It's like that model, like, and now it's like the recruiting thing, I mean, yeah, a lot of these companies start doing the same thing. And it's like, we take inspiration from other companies. It's like it's a
Sure.
huge industry. But I think just the funny thing to me sometimes, like companies have pulled back from this, but like when Compass first came on the scene, every other firm started touting their technology, and there was like this technology war, is what I
Yeah.
call it. And then, like, now we're in this phase where, Remax or Coldwell Banker or someone, laid off all of their internal tech and partnered with like KV Core. And
Yeah.
that's fine. Like, I don't think like a firm is way more than its tools to me. And it's like there's all these other things that make a firm, and there's different firms for different people. It's like sometimes people ask me like, "Oh, how are you gonna like take over this firm?" And I'm like, we're not trying. We don't think about it like that. Like
Yeah. We don't
there
either.
should be different options, and like no industry stays the same. Like a decade from now, there's no way the top firms will be the top firms. There'll be a lot of new firms that people haven't heard of right now. Um, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm gonna try to figure it out, and hopefully everyone on here will know who our firm is in the next couple years.
Yeah, well, it's clearly already happening. But
Yeah,
I think of it too with like cable television, right? I mean, it hasn't officially gone away. Obviously, there's still millions and millions of American
for sure.
subscribers to cable television. But I would love to see the graph of that over the last 15 years about
Cool.
subscriber growth versus people who just go, I'm just going to pay for 4 or 5 different streaming services. And, now everybody's used to doing that, paying monthly fee for their HBO Max or their Hulu or Netflix. We all sort of are like, yeah, we get it. Okay, we see the value there now.
Mhm.
Initially, it was a little like, oh, how are they going to compete with the cable
Right.
companies? Well, they served a need where people didn't want 500 channels of things they didn't watch, and paying $200 a month for it, where they can pay $15 a month and get like half of the shows they want. And
Right.
so it's been, and now it's like I don't even know people that are actively looking for cable in their, some people still have it because they, for whatever reason, they still want cable.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of people I know don't even have that anymore. And so
No, I
we're,
don't.
we're
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I think that will happen to the big brokerages if they don't adapt and figure out how to be profitable by being a bit more generous to their agents. Because eventually the tide is already turning, obviously evidenced
Mhm.
by the success of your firm. Is the tide's turning. I mean, geez, if I could hire 700 agents in a year and a half, I'd be a very happy man.
No.
So you are doing amazing work in the different areas that you're in, and we should talk about this. So this is a
Yeah.
great place to wrap up. So if you are an agent and this conversation was like piqued your interest, and you're like,
Mhm.
ooh, I didn't really know this was an option, and it's not in every local market. Like where I'm from in Peoria, Illinois, smaller city, they just don't have 100% option there. It just doesn't exist. And maybe
Mhm.
someday someone will figure out how to do it, but it's worth finding out if it does exist. And so,
Sure.
Sam, tell us, what markets are you in? For we have agents all over
Yeah,
listening.
yeah, yeah. So
Um,
we think about it on like a state by state
yeah,
basis. We don't focus on certain cities just because we all of our operations and everything is, online. So
yeah,
Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Florida, and then we're launching North Carolina like next week, like May 1st or May 2nd.
unbelievable.
And then California is one where we're getting a lot of like inbound interest. And so I'm actually trying to figure out how to launch that like in the next 30 days. If
You're
anyone
amazing.
listening here is in California, I'd love to talk to you. But California, Texas, and Florida are all similar markets, so we feel
Yeah.
comfortable there. And I used to live in San Francisco, so I have a
Well,
lot
and
of
those are the three biggest markets. So you guys
yeah,
are, yeah, and you're in Louisiana and North Carolina
yeah,
shortly. Yeah, if you are an agent in any of those areas, just owe it to yourself. Even if you're like, I love my firm, I'm not leaving. Cool, don't leave, but learn
yeah,
what other options exist. Because maybe today it doesn't make sense, but maybe in a year from now, all of a sudden there's a regime change at your office, and your
sure,
favorite managing broker left, and the new person you don't like, or whatever. This is
sure.
just check out what there are. And by the way, great website, really impressive. It's Pinnacle RA. So
Mhm,
RA. So pinnaclera.com is where you go to learn about the different subscription models they have. And you can just figure out if it makes sense for you. And it takes time. For some people who explore this right away, they're like, let's do it. Other people, as you know, it takes years sometime for them to go, okay, I'm ready. I'm really ready to move. So this is just a great way to plant the seed to see if it's something that you want to do. So go to pinnaclera.com. And also, let's check out Sam on Twitter. So you can find him, Sam H. Sawyer, on
mhm.
Twitter. You can read all about his thoughts and learn what Elon Musk is currently up to,
Ooh.
hopefully fixing Twitter, or breaking it and having fun breaking it.
Oh
So
man, I
it
know.
is a fun time to be on Twitter these days because it's always changing. So
Yeah, it's sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah.
yeah, but it's hopefully what I do love about Elon Musk is he's finally treating Twitter like an actual business, because he has to, because he just paid a bunch of money, and
Uh-huh.
he's trying to figure out a way to profitability for them, and they've never really been profitable either.
Exactly.
So it is he's doing hopefully some good work and maybe cleaning up some of the trolls on there, I hope. But it's a great place to check out Sam. So Sam H. Sawyer on Twitter, link to his website and his social media in the show notes. By the way, on behalf of the audience, we want to thank Sam. He is a busy, busy man. Has thousands of agents working with him. Has got to run a whole team, a company. He is a busy guy, and he took an hour out of his busy day to help talk to us and our agents. So, on behalf of our listeners, we thank you. We appreciate you, Sam. You're great. And
Thank you.
also, on behalf of Sam and myself, we want to thank the listeners and the
Yeah.
viewers for sticking around, paying attention to our episode. Please support our sponsors. Support Sam. Go check out. And if you know agents in any of the market seasons, send them a link to their website. They might not even know this model exists. And it is, when people get excited about it, it is a really fun thing, because they're like, I didn't know I could keep almost all my commission. In your case, they get to keep all of it, really. So that's
Exactly.
even better. So check out pinnaclera.com. So on behalf of the audience, thank you. Sam, on behalf of Sam, thank you to the audience. And we ask the audience to just do one one more thing for us, which is to please tell a friend about this show. Think of one other agent that you know that could benefit from, maybe, like we just said, maybe learning about Sam's model. Send them a
Mhm.
link to this episode. And, you can send them right over to our website. Keepingitrealpod.com is where every one of our, because we have like almost 500 episodes now. I forget exactly how many.
Nice.
But what's
That's
interesting is on the podcast apps, it typically will only show about 300. And not that I think anyone's going back to episode one, but you could. If you go to our website, all of our episodes can be streamed right there. And my intention when building the show was to have a library of content so that you didn't have to just wait for our newest episode. You could go back through. So go back, check it out, keepingitrealpod.com. And Sam, thank you so much. PinnacleRA.com is the place to go to learn all things Sam Sawyer and
Yep.
Pinnacle. Thank you, Sam. We will
Thanks
see
a lot.
everybody on the next episode.
Yep. Thank you. This was great.